Steve is hoping that isolation on the open seas in his self-built boat will help him leave a difficult year behind.
I was really on my own out there, which was fine. I didn't need people. I didn't really need the society so much. I pictured myself more as like a sea creature.
In Steve's first week at sea, weather conditions could hardly be better.
When I left the Canary Islands for a week, I had just the most idyllic sail. Everything was just beautiful, and I'd listen to my radio and play the boat like a drum. Do my exercise. I had this whole exercise routine on the boat. It just felt completely at home there.
But 800 miles and 1 week out into the mid-Atlantic, the weather begins to change.
The weather just started turning dirty. It was probably blowing 35 or so knots. And the waves started growing.
For an experienced sailor like Steve, it's nothing out of the ordinary.
I'd seen a lot worse weather before. And so I figured, well, it'll probably be a day or two and this will scoot by. I wasn't worried. Everything was fine.
As night falls and the rough weather continues, Steve switches on the autopilot and beds down for the night.
People think that sailing is a very quiet undertaking. It's not. Big waves are slamming against the side of the boat. You get this quite jerky motion, but I was still able to kind of lie down, and I was kind of half asleep. All of a sudden, there was this big bang on the side of the boat. There was just this huge flood of water immediately.
Steve has no idea what he's hit, but the boat's hull has been torn apart.
The water was rising very, very quickly.
Within seconds, the water is above his head.
I just thought, this boat is going to be underwater. I'm going right to the bottom.
Steve's boat is sinking. He knows he has seconds to get to the life raft up on deck.
So I yank on the line, and if the line keeps coming out, no, nothing. It just didn't work at all. Finally, boom, it pops open.
Steve makes it to safety. But just as he's about to cut himself loose, a terrifying thought hits him.
With the equipment that's in the raft, I will not last very long at all.
Everything he needs to have any chance of survival is stowed deep inside the flooded boat.
It was essential that I go back on the boat and dive down and get equipment. Even though I realized that the boat could slip under the waves at any moment.
A Against every instinct, he knows he has no option but to dive back down into the sinking boat.
It was all dark in there, so I couldn't really see anything. I could feel the ditch kit. It was tied down, and I started cutting away.
Steve frees his emergency supply kit. But just as he makes it to the exit hatch,
The hatch slammed closed. The boat's covered with water. I'm going down. I thought that was it. If I don't get out of here right now, I am going to die. There's 100% certainty of that.
but just as Steve's lungs are about to burst, a huge wave breaks across the boat.
All of a sudden, there's air. It was a huge, huge relief.
With only seconds to spare, Steve escapes, clutching his vital emergency supplies.
I jumped into the raft and I saw that I was drifting away from the boat.
Steve can only watch as he drifts away from not just his boat, but also his dream.
I went drifting off into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It just was kind of devastating. That first night, it blew hard. Really cold and really wet and really scary. I was shivering a lot and I was worried about dying of hypothermia. I might not make it till the morning.
Dawn breaks to reveal the true horror of Steve's situation. His boat is gone, and he is alone in the middle of the Atlantic.
I'm a long way away from anybody, and I'm in a very empty part of the ocean as well. I am just this teeny little thing surrounded by this immensity of sea. It was kind of overpowering.
Steve has no means of communication and knows that no one will be looking for him.
I told people at home, I gave them 5 or 6 weeks after I left the Canary Islands as being, don't worry about me if I don't show up this time.
Steve calculates he's 1,000 miles from land and completely at the mercy of wind and currents as they push him further westwards, out into the ocean.
I was in a place where there was basically no shipping, and I really needed to get to the shipping lanes to have any chance of being picked up at all.
Steve estimates that the shipping lanes are 350 miles further west. But even if the winds still push him in the same direction, it will take him at least 2 weeks to get there. And he only has a tiny supply of emergency drinking water.
I was worried. I had 8 pints of water, which theoretically was good enough for maybe 8 days.
Without enough water, he has almost no chance of making the shipping lanes alive.
It's a great irony that the world's biggest desert actually is the ocean. You can't drink any of the water there. There's no shade, and my chances of survival were almost hopeless.
Along with a harpoon and a few other supplies he rescued from his boat, Steve discovers 3 emergency water purification kits, known as solar stills.
The solar stills that I had were created during the Second World War for downed pilots. I never knew anybody who'd actually used them before. I've got 8 pints of water. It's over 2 weeks before I reach the shipping lane. So the solar stills were absolutely critical to any long-term survival.
Steve fills the still with seawater, knowing that the heat of the sun should separate the salt from the water.
I'd have, half hour, I've got a whole bag of water. I kept trying them again and again and again.
Steve cannot figure out how the solar stills work.
It's seawater. It was just seawater. It just didn't work at all.
And now he faces his first full night adrift in the ocean.
I was desperately lonesome, and there was no part of this that was not kind of a hellish experience.
Steve knows that it's essential he solves his drinking water problem, and the storm gives him an idea.
I knew that most survivors had relied on collecting rainwater.
If Steve can use the raft's canopy to collect rainwater, he may have hit upon an answer.
It was pretty much like drinking somebody's vomit. It was just so awful, it was undrinkable.
The orange pigment from the canopy contaminates the water.
I decided I'm never going to drink the water off the canopy. It was just too dangerous.
Steve's quest to find solace out at sea has resulted in horrific isolation, and he can see no way out of his ordeal.
I wrote my own epitaph that day. My name is Stephen Callahan. I was shipwrecked at approximately this position. I am drifting in a 6-man raft. I'm doomed. I just felt like I was totally doomed.
The currents are pushing Steve westwards, towards the shipping lanes, his only chance of rescue. But he's over 2 weeks away, with only enough water to last him a few days.
It wasn't going to keep me alive very long. You know, I'm taking a little sip every now and then, hardly even swallowing it, really. It's just being more absorbed. I'm getting really thirsty.
Steve now only has 3 cans of emergency water left, and his body's toxic salt levels are pushing his sanity to the limits.
The physical part of me is going, hey, there's water over there, let's go snag that. But there was that overbearing rational part of me that was going, no, I don't care. Unless, you know, you are dying, you're not getting into that right yet. This is a view of heaven from a seat in hell.
Alone on the ocean for over 70 days, Steve's body and mind are now shutting down. His only hope is to reach land.
I expected to see the islands like days and days before now. I should be reaching the islands. I should be seeing some sign of reaching the islands.
But then Steve has a shocking realization. If he's miscalculated his position, currents will sweep him back into mid-ocean and certain doom.
Maybe I'm way north of the islands, next stop England, 8 months from now. So that was tough. I was very worried that I had screwed up and I wasn't going to make it. I just don't know anymore. Maybe I'm dead. I've never been dead before. Maybe this is what it's like, and this is what I deserve for my shabby life, and maybe I'm just gonna be floating around out here forever. I felt all the hopelessness of people who'd been adrift at sea before and never came back, and nobody ever knew what happened to them. And here I was amongst them, and I could kind of feel them all around me. It just was a horribly desperate feeling. It was over. I was just done. I had no more to give.
David's confident they'll be in and out of the water long before the cloud reaches them.
So what's your dive plan, mate?
Well, we're gonna drop in around 30 meters, have a look around.
The plan is to dive for around half an hour, while the boat stays in position above them.
The boatman went over exactly where we would be dropped off, exactly when and where we would be picked up. I didn't pay too much attention. I just let them do their thing. But the anxiety just kept growing and growing.
Come on in, the water's fantastic.
Then I got my gear on. I looked at the boatman and I said,
"Here I go. Say a prayer for me."
and I thought, well, why did I say that? The dive was completely different than anything I'd ever experienced. It was amazing. We started going through this white haze. It was quite dreamlike, and there were bubbles funneling up around us coming from the vents of Kavachi.
The volcano is out of sight beneath the divers, far deeper than they can safely descend. All they can see are clouds of sulfur dioxide rising towards them from below.
It was such an amazing celestial scene. It was just breathtaking.
After 30 minutes, the divers surface.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
It was awesome.
The weather has changed dramatically. The dark cloud David spotted earlier is now above them.
God, it's really choppy now.
Yeah.
There's the boat, it's miles away.
Yeah, the current must be really strong. Hey! Hey, guys! Hey!
We're behind you!
Hey!
I remember thinking, oh, okay, that's no big deal. I was just looking forward to getting in the boat and putting a towel around myself. And then they didn't turn around.
They got the engines on. They can't hear us over the engine. Turn them off! Cut the engines! Turn it off! Hey!
I said, David, why aren't they turning around? And he couldn't answer that question.
You're yelling, you're screaming at the top of your voice. Why isn't he looking? We're here. Can't you see us?
The boatmen know the divers must be out of air by now. They expect to see them surface, but the dark sky has made the divers impossible to spot. While the engine is keeping the boat in position, they have no idea that a strong current is pulling the divers further away.
Where are they going?
They're not going anywhere. It's,
They are.
no, it's the current. It's pulling us away. Hey!
Yes, you feel anger. You feel like, come on, turn around and have a look at us. Why aren't you looking at us?
Hey!
The current was pushing us away. We could see him. They couldn't see us.
Running the engine to hold the boat in position is burning up fuel. If the boatmen don't leave soon, they risk being stranded. One of them makes a desperate attempt to locate the missing divers, but he has no idea just how far away they are now. With the fuel tank almost empty, the boatmen have no other choice but to return to the island to get help.
Guys! Go!
It happened quite quickly. We watched them disappear, as if the sea swallowed them up. I said, David, this is bad. This is really, really, really bad.
David and Melissa are now stranded, alone in the ocean. The nearest land is more than 20 miles away. All they can do is pray for rescue.
I still had faith that they would come back, ride over the waves like heroes and pluck us out of the water. But they didn't.
We are absolutely alone, miles away from land. I knew we were in trouble.
So do you think we could swim for it?
No. It's too far. They're gonna be looking for us down current. I think we should just stay put. Huh?
I said, let's not ruin the chance of them finding us, because the boat driver was the only one that knew we were in trouble, and he knew that if he'd come looking for us, he'd come down current. So we were going to stay down current.
How do you know they're coming back?
Well, if they went to get gas, it's an hour there. And it's an hour back, so. I think we'll be out of the water by 4 o'clock the latest. Yeah?
David had come up with a timetable, so to speak, of when the boatmen might return, which was about 4 o'clock. I thought, okay, we might be here a while. But then the uncertainty started seeping in.
David, are you looking for something?
Just being aware, that's all.
I really, really, really do not want to get eaten by sharks.
Hey, you need to calm down.
I think at that point, a bit of anger was coming in. He should have known better. How could we be in this situation?
Please don't tell me to calm down. We're in the middle of the ocean. You've lost that boat.
I think I have the right to vent here. I won't say what I said, but I swore a little bit.
Melissa's reacting as one might expect. She had a little bit of a dummy spit, and she was swearing profusely. She's relying on me to ensure that everything went smoothly. And at that stage, I'd shot myself in the foot big time. And it just was turning sour as the moments went on.
David and Melissa ignore each other, forgetting they're floating in a powerful current.
David! David!
The current pushes that far away. It was scary.
Come here.
We had to try to swim against a knot to a knot and a half current.
Swim to me.
Just a couple seconds of being apart, I thought, oh my gosh, we just can't let that happen.
I took her regulator, shoved it in through my BC, which was an easy way of making sure that we didn't get separated. Because separation in a scenario like that can be deadly. Not that I'm not a control freak, but I had to help stay in control for us to survive.
David said, let's just conserve our energy. That's the most important thing right now. So the plan was that I would wrap my legs around his waist and my arms around his neck. So his face was right here. But I didn't want to look at his face. I didn't want to be in that situation. I didn't want to be in the middle of the ocean. But what choice did I have?
Hey! Hey!
20 miles away, the boatmen get back to the island and raise the alarm.
Lost 2 divers out there.
The locals know the seas around here well. They've all heard the stories of giant hammerhead sharks preying on fishermen. They know they may not have long, and search parties race out on the hunt for the missing divers. David and Melissa can only hope that help is on its way. But with each passing hour, they're getting more nervous.
In the Solomons, there's a phenomenal amount of sea life there. My biggest fear at that stage, I believe, was sharks.
I'd imagine them circling below us. This big mouth coming up and tearing into one of us.
What was that?
What?
Was that you?
What?
Something's on my leg. Ah! Get it off!
It's my gauge. It's my gauge.
Just get it off
I'm
me!
trying. Would you stop kicking? Look, there's nothing down there.
There's everything down there.
If there's anything dangerous down there.
Like sharks, you mean?
Yeah.
Just say it!
Yeah, and you keep kicking and splashing, they're sure as heck gonna come and check us out, right?
All I could think about was sharks. One nibble, one drop of blood in the water, and then we're gone.
The search parties have finally reached Kavachi, but they have no idea that David and Melissa have already drifted miles away in the current. They continue to search above the volcano. David was convinced they'd be found by 4 o'clock. Now it's almost 5. They're still 20 miles from land, and there's no sign of rescue.
It was very clear that David wanted to stay still. He didn't want to move. He wanted to conserve his energy. I remember turning around and just looking all around me and just seeing all this water. And then looking at the land again and thinking, there's no other option.
I really think we should try and swim.
David looked in my eyes and he knew at that point that there's no arguing. We're gonna start swimming.
Okay. Take it nice and easy, okay? No splashing. I'm gonna keep my head underwater and keep looking, okay? Nice and easy.
Okay.
I remember him saying, let's just kick very slowly, peacefully on the surface, just moseying through. There's no reason to bring attention to ourselves, and don't kick too hard because we'll just get exhausted.
With 30 years diving experience, David knows that splashing about on the surface creates its own risks.
I didn't want to become part of the food chain because having watched the oceans and observed what happens there my whole life, there was a pretty strong likelihood that some sharks would come up and have a good look at us. You're on edge, totally. It was not a good feeling, not at all.
While David keeps watch below the surface, Melissa scans above for any sign of danger.
You see these pointed gray waves, and then all of a sudden you think you see fins.
What?
And so your mind plays tricks with you.
What?
Nothing. Sorry.
It was a constant battle to not let my imagination go.
But the dangers beneath the waves are not just in Melissa's mind.
Ow! Something bit me.
What? Where?
Oh,
What? Ow!
Then I looked in the water, and there were millions of these little globs, little translucent balls.
Jellyfish! I look, they hurt. They're not gonna kill you, okay? Swim through.
We were swimming through countless amounts of them. We were getting stung all over the place. I remember trying to count the stings. I got up to 64. But then it all blended into one. It was just the zapping pain that was shooting through my entire body.
My lip is killing me.
my hands are on fire.
That's okay. I'll go down in about an hour. Are you okay to go on?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Desperate to escape the jellyfish, the divers splashed around on the surface. They've broken David's golden rule and become a magnet for predators.
As I'm looking around, I'm looking straight down, and I see this little dot coming.
I felt David, he pulled me to the right abruptly.
David! David, what are you doing?
And I pulled back, and he pulled me, and I'm like, what?
It was coming straight at me from the depths, literally, from what I could see, straight at my face. It was this huge, ugly barracuda, probably 5.5 feet. They can be very aggressive, and they have been known to attack people before.
David knows the great barracuda has a ferocious bite.
All he has to do is hit me in my hand, my arm, my leg. If I start bleeding, I've got another major problem. I've got a problem with sharks.
Against 2 sets of razor-sharp teeth, David's only defense is his camera.
I needed something to ram and protect us. That was the first thing to use.
It circled around us, and then it went off. He couldn't believe it didn't do anything else.
It's gone.
But I kept looking for it because I just didn't want to be caught by surprise by one of those.
With daylight fading, the search parties have no choice but to return to the island. They've spent over 6 hours searching for the missing divers. They'll start again at first light, but everyone knows that by then, the odds are they'll be looking for dead bodies.
As the sun went down, I felt really sad. I didn't understand why they didn't come back for us. I was hurt. How could this be? How could they not come back?
Maybe they're back there looking.
We should just keep swimming. Oh, come on, we're covering good ground.
Outwardly, you're bold and brave, and you're sort of smiling, and inside, you're packing it. Sun was starting to set, and that was the part I was dreading. With night coming, that was a total different scenario because a lot of animals come up to the surface and feed at nighttime. I found myself thinking we were there to get eaten.
The exhausted divers are only 4 miles from land. But for David, this is the most terrifying part of the entire journey.
I didn't totally mention to Melissa at that stage that I believe the greatest fear we're going to have is that last bit, right in close to the shore, because it's an area I wanted to fish, because there's so much sea life there, including your upper major predators. And at the same time, I didn't tell her about 2 big 20-plus foot hammerheads that I heard about that had been bothering the fishermen. So that deeply concerned me, but she didn't need to know that.
But what David doesn't know is that his fins have been chafing his ankles. He's now bleeding profusely. Hammerhead sharks can smell 1 drop of blood in 1,000,000 drops of seawater. It's only a matter of time before David attracts attention.
I remember thinking, what's that piece of plastic sticking out of the water? It looks like a sailboat's on its end, or like almost like a kayak sticking straight up out of the water. I thought, well, what's that plastic?
Oh, David! David! We're shark.
What?
I saw a fin. Oh my God.
That woke me up.
What
I said, did it sort of look like this? And she says, yeah. And what I sketched with my finger was a dorsal fin of a hammerhead shark.
Just offshore, they've spotted a hammerhead shark.
I'd never seen anything like this. It was huge.
You're talking a 6+ meter shark. That's a big shark.
I figured if it's gonna happen, I want it to happen fast. I hope it doesn't bite my leg. I hope it just sinks its teeth right into my heart. And bang, it's over with.
This was my greatest fear. You're just hoping that that shark isn't hungry. With all the bad things that have happened, a little bit of good luck would be nice right now.